Welcome to today's PowerSchool Special Programs presentation for English learner information. Now, most of the time when we present on PowerSchool Special Programs things, we speak mostly to users related to special education. But today I'm going to be reviewing processes from the EL point of view. These procedures are the same as they are for students in special education. However, some of the tasks within the process are a little different, and I'll be sure to let you know during my explanation when those things are different. Okay, so for new students, let's just start here from the beginning with enrollment. When a new student enrolls into your district, an enrollment record is created in PowerSchool SIS by a school counselor, registrar, or whoever in your district that is responsible for enrolling new students. Now, after that part has been completed and any provisional enrollments have been cleared, if a student has received the service, whether it's EL, 504, or special ed, or possibly RTI, in any Alabama district, anywhere in the state, a request for a transfer envelope to bring in their information must be made. And you do that by requesting a transfer envelope in PowerSchool Special Programs. You can bring in the data then that the other school district might have collected. For example, forms, dates, etc. Now, students must have information in special programs for them to have the icon in SIS. So if you're looking for a student to be able to be identified as EL 504 or special ed in PowerSchool SIS, you've got to have information in PowerSchool Special Programs. Now, so far, many districts have only been completing this process for students receiving special education services as far as the transfer envelopes. But because people have just not been doing that process for EL students, it's created a lot of duplicate entries for students in the Elevation platform. So we are trying to streamline this for our EL students also, just like we do for our special education students, so that we don't have any duplicates in Elevation. So now we're going to talk about some important things to know. So in order to send and receive transfer envelopes, you must have certain security rights in special programs. Okay, so everyone that has access to special programs will not have the right to send and receive transfer envelopes. And the reason for that is whoever has the right to send and receive transfer envelopes for English learners also has the right to transfer envelopes for special education. And we don't need many people to be able to do that because whoever is doing this needs to be adequately trained so that they know what to bring in and what not to bring in. Okay? And it won't just affect EL information, it will also affect any special ed or 504 information. Okay? If you want to know any more about setting up security and things like that, you can contact me. I'm one of the Alabama PowerSchool coaches, and we can work on that individually. But we do recommend that this transfer envelope process be limited to just a few people within the district. Okay, so if a student has received services, like I said before, ever in another Alabama school, then you've got to stop where you are and notify your district personnel that handles PowerSchool Special Programs transfer envelopes. And then that transfer envelope must be requested and imported. Do not manually import these students from the Gen Ed table in PowerSchool Special Programs when they enroll, because that will cause duplicates. Okay, so when you are requesting a transfer envelope, this will be done in the new school district. So when a student enrolls and they are coming to you and they've already had an EL plan in another Alabama school, or possibly they also have a special education plan in another Alabama school. It's the same process. You would go to This would be someone who knows what they're doing and has been trained and has the appropriate security rights. They would navigate to Administration and Utilities, and then here they would leave this as students. This is the default setting. And then in this drop-down area, you would drop down to Receive Student Transfer Envelope. And all you're doing is you're going to be sending a request because you want to receive an envelope from the former school district. Okay? So once you click Request Envelope here, then you will choose from the next screen the drop down to the school that you are requesting this transfer envelope from. So this will be the previous school district for the student. And then right here, you will put the student's name and other identifying information. I do recommend that you use more than just the student's name because there may be more than one student with the same name in the district. We have had that before. It's my preference to use the SSID number since that is unique to the student, but you can also add in a birth date if you would like to. But basically, they need to know what student you are requesting, and then you will click Request Envelope. Okay? Now, that was done in the new district. The former district, once that Request Envelope button has been clicked, the former district will receive a message. So whoever is in the security group that will receive transfer notifications will receive a message in their unread message panel that a student transfer envelope has been requested. All users in that transfer notification security group will receive a message, okay? And it'll let them know that a request for a student transfer envelope has been received. And here is what it will look like. It will show the requesting school district, and then it will list the students at the bottom. The person who's in charge of sending those envelopes will then follow this process. Remember, this is the process that will be done in the former school district. They'll go to Administration and Utilities just like you went to when you were requesting that record. They will drop down here. Of course, Students is auto-populated here. And then instead of clicking Receive Student Transfer Envelope, which is what you did when you sent the request, they will click Send Student Transfer Envelope because they're going to get ready to send that student's information to the new district. Okay? So once they do that, they will be presented with a screen like this, and it will show the request down at the bottom. It will show the requesting district, the person who requested it, the date it was requested, and then the status. And so what they would do is click this curved arrow here. And when they do, they will be presented with a screen that looks like this. And it'll show all that same information, who's requesting it, the user. In case there are questions, you could call that user, the date, and then the status. And then here it will show the student that is being requested. And then if you have that student and you want to send that envelope, all you do is accept request. And then the next screen will bring this up and you will add students. So you click Add Students. And I typically go straight here to the lookup button, and then I would look up and find the student that I would like to send. And then it will populate the student's name in this red box, and then you click Create Student Transfer Envelope. Now, if you choose not to use the lookup button, you can also just type in the SSID number, only the SSID number, and it will automatically know which student to choose, okay? And then click Create Student Transfer Envelope. Okay, the next step, you'll be presented with a screen like this. It'll show this SSID number and the student name, and then you will click Generate Student Packages. So basically now you're being asked, what do we want to put in this package that we want to send to the new district? And you'll select, it's my recommendation that you select every box It should be auto-populated to send every box. But basically, this is all of the information out of PowerSchool Special Programs for that student. Okay? So at the very bottom of the list, you will also see these options. You will want to choose and make sure that you are also sending file-based documents. You want to include documents from the oldest year available. So I always go click the caret here and scroll all the way to the bottom and click the oldest year to current. And then you also want to change this from yes to no. You don't want to just send final documents. You want to send anything that's in draft too. That way that each student you're receiving everything on that student. Okay, and you can choose how to name your package. I usually just leave it at the default of name. And then when you're done, you click generate student packages. Okay? Next, you'll choose to send the envelope to requester. And once you do that, you'll send it. Now, if you are not presented with send envelope to requester, that means that over here, you didn't click this curved arrow, okay? And basically when you click that curved arrow, it ties this envelope to the school that is requesting it. But you can also send an envelope without clicking that curved arrow, but you will have to choose the district where you want to send that envelope. I don't recommend you send an envelope without a request, but sometimes it's necessary. And if that's the case, then you would just click here, school district hosted at specialeducation.powerschool.com, and then you would click and choose the school district where you want to send that package here. Now, just remember that when you are sending these packages, you are sending highly confidential information. So if you are sending a package to someone who has not requested an envelope, I would be very cautious to make sure I'm sending it to the right person for the right reason. Okay? So once you've chosen the district where it needs to be sent, you click Send Envelope. And then you will get a confirmation that looks like this. This envelope has been sent, and you will see that it has been sent here. Okay? Again, one more way that you can see that it has been sent, you can tell what date it was created on and when it was sent. It is a common mistake to create an envelope but forget to send it. And you can see examples of these down here. This is where I was preparing for this presentation. And so you can see that these have not yet been sent, but this one was created and sent on this date. Okay, these are some best practices. Do not import a student from the Gen Ed students table into special programs when a student enrolls. You need to wait for the student's transfer envelope to come and do everything through the receive student transfer envelope process. Okay, I can't say that enough times. Whether it's an EL student or a student with special education services, it will cause issues if you do that. Okay, if a student has never been in your school district's instance of special programs before, do not import them from that Gen Ed students table. When you receive the student transfer envelope for that student, the records will transfer correctly to the student's special education profile. And then if the student has been in your district's instance of special programs before, and then they left, and now they've come back to your district, you will still need to request that envelope, and you'll need to merge the profiles when you receive the student transfer envelope for that student. So once the former LEA has received that request for the student transfer envelope and then processed that request and sent the new request or the envelope to the new district, okay, the new district will receive a message that says, you've got a new transfer envelope. Okay, it'll be just like this. All those people that are in that security group, transfer notification, will receive this message. And then it will, when they click on the message, it's going to look like this right here. It'll say, whatever district has sent you a student transfer envelope containing one student. To access it, go to Administration Utilities and receive student transfer envelope. And this will, and it'll, actually, it will expire on a certain date also. So you need to go ahead and do it as soon as you get it. Okay, so we're back to the new LEA, the current district, and what they should do. So they're receiving this student transfer envelope message. They're going to go to Administration and Utilities. This, remember, defaults to students. And then they're going to receive a student transfer envelope. Now remember, only people who know what they're supposed to be doing and have been adequately trained should be performing this process. Okay, so the student, when you click that button, Receive Student Transfer Envelopes, you will see a screen that looks kind of like this. It will list all of the envelopes that have been sent. And this is where you choose to which envelope you want to import. You'll click the magnifying glass next to that envelope, and then on this screen you will see the student's ID number and their name, and this box will be blank. And so what you should do is click this blue arrow, and it will move this SSID number into this blank box. When you click that blue arrow, if these two numbers here do not match, stop. Click cancel and contact someone at your district, or you may even need to call me, a special programs coach, or you can contact PowerSchool and get assistance. Okay, but if these two numbers match, then you will click import. Okay, this is where it changes a little bit. If the student does not have a special education profile in special programs, meaning that you either have not brought them in from the Gen Students table or they've never been in your district before, then all you'll do is click import and it'll be done. But if the student already exists in your instance of special programs, you will have options to merge documents and select profile field values for merging. And this is where a lot of districts make mistakes. So I want to spend a little bit of time and put some emphasis in this area. So merging profiles requires knowledge of PowerSchool special programs and the student profiles that are within the program, and should only be completed by someone that has been adequately trained. Okay, so when you're going to receive a transfer envelope, you're going to click the checkbox next to Merge Documents, and then you're going to click on the Select Profile Field Values for merging. And what this looks like is it's going to have, your new student ID just like you did on your previous screen, but if you'll see over here under Status, it's going to let you know, hey, there's already a profile here, and we're going to need you to tell us what to do. And so the first thing you need to do, don't wait and click this second. Click this box, click this box here first to merge documents. And basically it's bringing in their documents. And then you'll need to click this link, select profile field values for merging. And what that's going to do is it's going to let us select, do we want to keep the ones that we already have, or which ones do we want to bring in from the old district? Okay, I'll show you what I mean by that. And basically this is just some information about these transfer envelopes. If you've imported that student from the Gen Ed table instead of waiting, then you're going to need um, instead of waiting to receive the student transfer envelope, and you do not click that checkbox next to merge documents, and then on that select profile field values for merging, your profile is going to be blank. So even if you haven't put in any information in PowerSchool Special Programs, if you don't click that special select profile field values for merging, it's going to bring in blank profile, and it's not going to be good, okay? So if the student was already in special programs, you're going to need to select that profile field values for merging. Because if you don't, the profile will be incorrect. It will be old data. And so in either of these instances, if we don't do it correctly on the first try, then you're going to have to re-request that student envelope again from that previous district, and you're going to have to follow this process again. So it's important for us to get it right the first time. So if you get this message, you need to click both of these. Click Merge Documents first, then click Select Profile Field Values for merging. Okay? Now, after clicking on the link, Select Profile Field Values for merging, the screen on the next slide will display. Fields will vary depending on the student record. So if they didn't have EL services or they didn't have special ed services, you may not get information there. So just keep that in mind. But now you're going to be selecting the profile fields that you want to keep on the older profile or the ones you want to merge and replace on the incoming profile, okay? So we're going to go over these now. But look at this note at the bottom. If you must merge profiles when importing a student, when you select the profile field values for merging, you want to keep the most current enrollment start date. Leave the enrollment end date blank and the enrollment exit date blank. Okay. Okay, this is the screen that causes districts the most grief. This is why you need to have knowledge of special education and EL and 504 when you are sending and receiving envelopes, because you will be presented with a screen that looks like this when you need to merge field values. Okay, so on the left side, you will see existing profile. This is what is already in your instance of special programs. Okay, these are the values from the transfer envelope. So this is incoming, and you have to decide which ones of these you want to keep and which ones you want to bring in. So depending on your information, you will be clicking these radio buttons. That's what we call these little buttons. It will only allow you to click one or the other for each field name. Okay, so if you look over here on the leftmost column, you will see the field name. And these are the fields within special programs. Some of these come from PowerSchool SIS. For example, the enrollment start date in special programs populates from PowerSchool SIS. So if you're looking at the existing profile value for the enrollment start date, this student enrolled in your district in the new district on 8/8/2022. The value from the transfer envelope is when the student was supposed to enroll in their district. But again, you can see the enrollment start and end date are the same, which tells me that this is a zero entry date, meaning they were supposed to, like they were registered and then they didn't show up. They decided to go to your school. So I don't want to bring in this enrollment date because this came from the previous district. So I'm going to keep this one. So I'm going to put the radio button here. And remember, the note on the previous screen said keep the enrollment end date blank. So I'm going to keep that enrollment end date blank. If you'll look here in the current profile, the one in the new district, it is blank for home language. But there is something there from the previous district. So I would click this radio button because this would be the value that I would want to populate here in the empty space. Okay. Now, depending on the phone number, this is actual information that comes over for special from from SIS. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, because whatever is in your SIS, which is probably this number, is the one that will show up, and it will overwrite. If you were to choose this one, it will still overwrite once it talks to SIS. Remember on the previous screen we talked about the enrollment exit reason? Well, you'll want to keep that one blank. So we're going to keep this radio button here because you do not want exiting information from your previous district. Okay. Now the rest of these have to do on this screen have to do with special education. And if you'll notice, we don't have any special education in our new LEA. So we're going to need to bring in these profile information from the previous district. So if I was doing this, I would click the radio button here, 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 and here. Okay, and the profile will continue. There are many more field names to go through, and basically you have to go through each field one by one to make sure you're bringing in or keeping what you need. Once you've chosen which field values to keep or to bring in, if you're keeping what's here, you check here. If you're bringing it in, you click here, and then you click Accept. And once you do that, then your student should be in special programs with all of their information. And the way you check that is you go to the top, you search for students, and I usually like to search by the last name. It's just easy to put the first few letters of the last name, but you can also just put in the SSID number here. I would not use more than one field to search when I'm just basically searching, because if you get one part of it wrong, then it won't find the students. For example, if you get the SSID number correct, but you misspell the last name and you're using both of those fields to search on, then it won't yield any results. Also, you want to make sure that this box is checked, include inactive student profiles. Now, what that means is any student profiles who have been deactivated would also show up in your search. Now, when we were using sets, we used to have to deactivate our profiles, but that is not something that we recommend in PowerSchool special programs. So we do not recommend deactivating student profiles in special programs. Okay, so these are some enrollment basics. Remember, I showed you this screen earlier in the presentation, and I spoke briefly about importing students from the Gen Ed table, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So if a student, let's just say a student has enrolled in your district for the first time, they have just come from a foreign country, and they have never ever been in any Alabama school, then you would need to import that student from the Gen Ed students table, okay? When you do that, you go to search, and then you go to Gen Ed students down here, and then you would, excuse me, once you do that, then you would search for the student. I usually put in the last name of the student, because basically what this is doing, it's looking for that student in PowerSchool SIS, and you will then click Import Gen Ed Students, and you will get a chance to check the box next to the student that you want to import, and then you click Import the Student check below. Okay? Now, I know that you see some student names here. These are fictitious names and fictitious SSID numbers. This is from our play data, but I'm going to talk a little bit about student profiles and special programs. Now, I talked about profile field values, and this is where this comes from. So when we're looking at a student profile and we look up students in PowerSchool special programs, you see two icons. This is what I call the Rolodex icon or the profile icon, and this is the document icon. If you click on one of these icons, it will take you to this page in the student's profile. If you click on this page, it'll take you to their documents, okay? And basically, these are the tabs right here for that student. But in special programs, we have the view that you see here will be dependent on what you have rights to, okay? It will default to the student demographics. And the information on the student demographic page, which is here, is owned by PowerSchool SIS. What I mean by owned, it means that PowerSchool SIS is where this data lives. And if you do happen to have an edit button at the top of this screen, if you edited it and changed anything on this page, it may stay for 5 or 10 minutes. But when PowerSchool SIS and PowerSchool Special Programs talk again, then that data will be overwritten. Any changes that you made on this profile will be overwritten by what is in PowerSchool SIS. Okay? You can see here, these are the different screenshots. You have a demographic section, you have an ethnic section, and then you have enrollment information and transfer information. Okay, now this you can edit, and you can say whether the student was an in-state or out-of-state transfer, and you can put in that date, and that information will stay, because this information right here on the demographic page is not housed in PowerSchool CS. It is a special programs section. All right, I'm going to go back to the profile flyout menu. If you do not have access to special education information, then many of these will go away. This will go away. State reporting probably will go away, or most of it. Accommodations, modifications, all of these are special education related profiles. But the one that, as far as EL learners will need, would be this English learners and then state accommodations. Those are the two profiles that you will be most interested in. Okay, so I talked to you a little earlier about the EL icon. And this is the view in special programs. Excuse me, in CS, this bottom screenshot. In order for a student to have this blue ELL icon, which designates that student as a student that's an English learner, they must have this profile in special programs. And this top view is the view from special programs. So when you search for your children, they must, in order for them to have this blue icon in CS, they must have this EL icon in special programs. Now, think about AIM, the AIM tile where we gather all of our student data. In order for a student to be designated as EL, in AIM, they must be designated as EL in CS, PowerSchool CS, which is our main platform for gathering student data. And that icon here comes from special programs, so they've got to have the EL icon here. So let's talk about some more CS views. We can check to see if this information in PowerSchool CS. So when you look up a student, you would go to Compliance and then Federal Program, and then you will see the screenshot at the bottom. The information in the red boxes come from special programs. The only way to get information in these boxes in PowerSchool CS is to have the information in PowerSchool special programs. And this is how you do it for EL students only. Now, remember I told you at the beginning we speak mostly to special education when it comes to PowerSchool special programs. And so for special education, we do not allow manually editing the student profile. All of the special education fields on the student profile, or most of them, are what we call document driven. So we have to complete a document for it to fill out on the special programs, special education profile. But for EL students, you can manually enter and change this profile. And you do that by navigating to the EL flyout and clicking Edit. Okay? And then you will need to put in the EL program entry date. If this is blank, then that student will not have that EL icon. Okay? If that EL program entry date is blank, they will not have that EL icon. Once you get that EL program entry date in there, you will need to complete some more information. You will also need to put in their EL status. Now remember, the EL status should never be updated in PowerSchool Special Programs until after rollover in the summer. So after rollover, and now we're at July 7th of 2025, so it's okay now because rollover happened a couple of weeks ago. So now that that is done, you can begin to update your EL program or excuse me, your EL statuses in PowerSchool special programs. But you always want to wait until after rollover and our status and our snapshot has been taken, because you want those students' statuses to stay what they were when the school year ended. I'm going to go over those status changes in just a moment. But keep in mind, in order for that EL icon to be there, you'll need the EL program entry date, and this is where you will change the statuses. Also, you see that country of origin up there, that comes over from PowerSchool CS through the home language survey. Okay, and depending on your LEA, your person may want you to put more information here, but this is all that is required that I'm aware of, is this EL program entry date and your EL status here. Okay, now let's talk about mass changing and updating those EL statuses. This time of the year is when it's time to go ahead and start updating those statuses. Of course, you can do that one by clicking edit. But you do not have to do them one by one. You can change them en masse. Okay? You just need to be careful in how you do that. Okay? The first way to do that is go to Administration and Utilities, and then under Data Utilities, you're going to need to make sure we say Students. And then under Utility, you're going to replace student fields. Okay? Now keep in mind, be very careful in doing this. Very, very careful. Because if you're not careful, you could easily change information for many students at one time. So again, only people who know what they're doing should be doing this. So here we go. We're going to replace student fields. And then you're going to select which students do you want to pull up to go ahead and replace their fields. Now, I recommend that you start with the students who have been in the longest, okay? Start with the students who have been in the longest. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to click this quick formula because it's much easier than trying to think of it on your own. And from that, you are going to click this caret. It's the downward arrow, but we call it a caret. And we're going to choose English learners because we want to choose fields from the English learners profile. When we click that, it's going to show us this page. Next, we want to replace, we're going to be working with EL statuses. So remember I said start with the students who have been in the longest. So these are the statuses you can see down here that are available. So you want to start with those students who have been exited and they have finished their 4th year of monitoring. So in this instance, this is what we're going to do, because if you start here and then change all your first to second, then when you pull your second years, you're also going to be pulling those people you just changed from first to second. So if you start at the top or the highest rank, then that you will only be pulling those students. We're not going to be worried about anybody who's completed 4 years of monitoring because that's the last status they could possibly get. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to look for students who have exited and they're finishing their 4th year of monitoring. So now we're going to move them to completed 4 years of monitoring. So we're going to click this button, and when you do, it's going to populate right here, and then you're going to click Update and Accept Formula. And when you click that, it's going to put that formula right here. So it's looking for students with an EL status of 9, which that's in the back side of the program. The status is 9, and EL is false. So they're no longer EL because they, remember, were in monitoring. They were done with the program. They were just being monitored. And so this is the formula it put in for you. And then we're going to choose the field to replace is we're going to change that EL status, and we're replacing the former status, which was right here, exited 4th year. We're going to change it to completed 4 years. Okay, so we're going to choose EL status. We're going to give it a specific value, and we're going to click continue. When we do, it's going to pull up a list of all those students who have that exited 4th year monitoring status. And now we're going to tell what status we need to replace that with. So we're going to click the caret here, and we're going to pull down to completed 4 years of monitoring. And I can also decide if I want to do all of these or some of these. So in this instance, I want to replace them. I just marked this box and it chose everyone. And then you can either check replace field value for students checked above or for all of them that are on the screen. That's up to you and how you want to do it, but you can check one of those two depending on how you've chosen to select your students. And once you do that, it will give you a confirmation box down at the bottom right corner. Excuse me. We'll give you a confirmation box down at the bottom right corner, and you will be done. And that ends our presentation for today. On this next screen is a way to contact me, Samantha Russell. I'm an ALSDE PowerSchool coach specializing in special programs. There are 4 of us PowerSchool coaches for the State Department currently. Caitlin Maddox, Quandria Robinson, and Kendall Tankersley are PowerSchool SIS coaches. They handle products like Schoology, Lesson Planner, SIS, Power Teacher Pro, and Analytics and Insights. I am currently the only PowerSchool coach handling special programs, and I would love to help you. Keep in mind that there's just one of me covering the whole state, so I will get back with you as soon as possible. And if you do happen to email me and you do not get a response in a timely manner, then just email me again. It's likely that I've overlooked your email, but I promise it won't be on purpose. I do have a live binder. This link may be changing in the future, but for now, this is the live binder where you can receive information. I put the recordings there and also documentation. Please reach out for any help you may need. Hope you have a great day.